Hey y'all, welcome back to Hermanas Unfiltered. It's your girl Isela here, and I am joined with the one and only Casey. What's up, sister?
Hey, hey, hey! I'm so excited to be here today. As always, it's going to be a real, raw, and unfiltered conversation.
You know it. Today we're diving into a topic that's close to my heart, my first year as a middle school teacher. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, stressed, or like you're just trying to keep your head above water, this one's for you. We talk about the lessons learned, the roller coasters of emotions, and the wins that made it all worthwhile.
For sure. First years in any profession are pretty tough, but teaching, yeah, that's a whole other level. So, we're going to get into the good, the bad, and the downright wild moments from our first years in the classroom.
Yes, so grab your coffee, settle in, and let's get real about what it's like to survive and thrive as a first year middle school teacher.
All right, so let's start with expectations. What do you think were your first year expectations as a middle school teacher, Isela?
Oh man, I was dreaming big. I thought I'd walk into my classroom, inspire young minds, and I would have this Pinterest worthy classroom. I thought I would have kids excited to be there and learn every single day. And I imagine being that cool teacher that everybody loved and with a perfect classroom management and zero drama. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, and what how did it go?
Okay, so the reality, it was messy. On my first day, I was so nervous. I was struggling. By
Mhm.
second period, the kids already tested me, and I realized that my perfect lesson plan wasn't going to work. And let's not even talk about the tech issues or the seating charts that totally backfired.
Oh my gosh. Middle schools are just a whole different vibe. One minute
hmm
they're cracking jokes, the next they're kind of roasting you or each other, right?
Exactly. They're hilarious. They'll call you out on anything every second of the day if you don't have your act together. But I also learned quickly that flexibility and a real good sense of humor were my best friends. Your job isn't always about teaching the content, it's
Mhm.
more about managing personalities, moods, and about a million interruptions a day.
That is so true. And some people don't realize that it's not just about standing in front of the classroom, but there's
hmm
also like behind the scenes stuff.
Yes, for sure. So you have planning lessons, grading, responding to emails, attending meetings. I felt like I was working 24/7. And then you have all the unexpected things like fire drills, surprise assemblies, and hearing, can I go to the bathroom
Oh my
about, I
gosh.
don't know, what, 50 times per period?
Hmm.
Um, and it starts right at the beginning of class, and you really learn to expect the unexpected.
Yeah, most definitely. I think for me, that was definitely a thing. Like when I walked into my classroom, like I had nothing in there. There was nothing. There was a bunch of furniture scooted towards one side of the building. And I was like, how am I supposed to teach? Like, where are all the posters? Like, where are all the cute Pinteresty stuff? It's nothing like that in the real world.
No, it's not, for sure. I remember that's how my classroom was as well. All the desks
Hmm.
were just piled up in the middle of the room.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's ugly.
Yeah.
You have to make it pretty. And a lot of people, I feel like they don't understand how much work and how much money
Hmm.
you put into your classroom to make it comfortable and beautiful for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I do want to tell first year teachers is don't go in there expecting to have the most beautiful, perfect classroom. Don't spend all your money that first year. I think it's
No.
important to acquire things little by little. You hit up garage
Mm-hmm.
sales. Um, you start with the basics. And then, so another big tip is you wait a year and then you wait for teachers to leave. And
Oh,
once,
yes.
right? And once you find
Mm-hmm.
out they are leaving, you go straight to them. You're like, I claim this, I claim that, and I claim that. And nobody else can
Mm-hmm.
take it. So, and it's kind of it's a little sucky because that person's like leaving and Instead of you be like, oh, don't leave. You're like, I want your stuff. Leave me
Right.
all your stuff. But honestly, that's how I acquired most of my furniture was through teachers who were leaving and were leaving stuff behind, whether they were, you know, whether it was from the school or sometimes stuff that they just didn't want to pack up and take with them.
Mhm.
So, yeah, definitely. First year teachers, just wait that full year and then go claim
Yes.
your stuff.
Yes, or go to the thrift stores, garage sales, like you said.
Hmm.
I had a bunch of furniture in my classroom this past year, and it all came from the trading post on Facebook, the marketplace. Just finding stuff on the cheap and then putting it in your classroom. And then
Hmm.
also, don't invest. I don't know. This is my personal opinion. Don't come for me for this, but
Okay.
like the posters where
Oh,
with
yeah.
the quotes,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Kids
I'm not a
don't read that
fan.
stuff.
No, I'm
No,
not a
kids don't
fan.
read that stuff.
Now, what I have done was, or what I have done in the past is I found like cute little wall decals and I put them on there like with cute little like inspirational quotes. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's way cuter than the posters, because you can make your own. And honestly, um, making those posters or those what are they called? Why can't I think of the name? Not graphic organizers. What am I thinking? They called. What?
Anchor charts.
Yes! Oh my gosh, brain fart. Yes, anchor charts. As you make your own anchor charts throughout the year, they become your posters. I would much rather hang anchor charts than a whole bunch of like pre-made posters that no one's going to read.
Yeah. Yeah, I never used either or anchor charts or posters. I had a theme going in my classroom,
Hmm.
um, and I stuck with it, and I think it worked out fine.
You got to give it time. You can't walk into the classroom the first year unless you're ready to spend thousands of dollars. Otherwise, just, hang tight, find things here and there. Don't go crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Is that your dog or mine? That's yours.
Dude, it's mine. Freaking
Yeah.
cover. Sorry.
Uh, it's okay. And then, Casey, another thing that you need to remember is learn the value of comfy shoes and a solid classroom routine. I think that's saved my life my first year of teaching.
You know what? I agree. Comfy shoes are everything, um, especially with all the walking that you do and the up and down. That is a must. I know there have been pairs of shoes that I've completely retired or do not wear anymore because they don't make sense in the classroom.
Yeah.
Right? And routines.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, routines are everything your first year. If you don't establish routines from beginning to end, it's going to be a hot mess.
From the first day of school, you have to have
Mm-hmm.
a routine.
Yeah.
Kids need to know what to do from the moment they step into your classroom until the moment they leave your classroom. If you don't have that, you are going to have a hard time keeping
Mm-hmm.
them in line.
Yeah. And some ideas, you can have something projected or you can have a Google slide up, letting kids what materials they need to gather, or you can have a section in your board that lets them know, okay, what are we going to do today? And the kids can look up there, gather their materials, come in. How would you do it?
So my first year, you know how you're told to always stand at your door as kids are
Mm-hmm.
passing by and greet them at the door. So I think for the most part, I stuck with that the whole 5 years that I was in the classroom. Um, but yeah, waiting at the door for them. Seating charts. You have to have seating charts.
Oh my
If
gosh,
you
yes.
let kids sit with their friends, you will regret it like within the second day of school. You
Absolutely.
need seating charts. And I feel like seating charts my first year also helped me a lot to memorize kids' names.
That's
Because,
true.
when you take attendance, I would do it alphabetically, like from front to back, and then start all
Mm-hmm.
over in the first row. So
Mm-hmm.
I would keep the same seating charts for like a good, I don't know, a month or two to
Mm-hmm.
memorize their name, at least the first 6 weeks of school.
Oh, that's
And
pretty
then
smart.
if I would like, the only time that I would move kids around is if I knew that they were friends and they would try to talk to each other all the time, then I would separate them. But for the most part, my seating charts were always in alphabetical order from front to back. And like I said, that helped me memorize their names fairly fast too. Because then you think about it and you're like, How the heck do you memorize the
Oh my
names
gosh.
of 100 kids in a
Mhm.
school year?
Mhm.
And you do. I mean, I think what helped me a lot was seating charts in alphabetical order. What else? So yeah, that's it. Seating charts and then standing at the door to greet them and showing them from the first day of school, like, hey, you're gonna have a do now as soon as you walk in. That's the first thing you need to work on. And then, like you said, putting stuff on the board, telling them this is what you need today, this is what we're doing, and then going from there.
Oh
What
yeah.
about you?
Most definitely. For me, I always had a Google slide on my Promethean board, letting the students know what the expectations were for the day, what we were going to cover in class, what was the teak. Um, and then I would go as far as like breaking down, like, first we're going to read for 10 minutes, and then we're going to work on a worksheet, and then we're going to have a closeout assignment, and then we're going to clean up. So I made sure every day that they had that structure. I also have another section in my classroom where I have the
Mm-hmm.
materials that they need. So the composition, and usually it was um, or it is by picture. So I have like little pictures of like pencils, highlighters, markers, their composition notebook. So when they walk into the classroom, if that little composition notebook is out or the little Chromebook sticker is out, then they knew what materials they needed to gather for the day. And our cleanup
That's cool.
routine, yeah, and our cleanup routine at the end of the day was always the same. The same person passed out the wipes, we wiped down desks, we make sure the caddies were nice and clean, and then we would push in chairs and we stand next to our chairs and wait for the bell to dismiss. Unless we were still working, of course, then the routine would change up a little bit.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Um, okay, so let's talk about the stress.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went in, I knew that teaching would be hard, but I wasn't prepared for how much of myself I had to pour in the first year teaching, or any year after that for that matter.
No, absolutely. What do you think were some of the toughest moments?
Um, I feel like honestly, it was the feeling of never being done.
Mm.
You know what I mean? There was always something to plan, something to grade, or something to fix. And then when a lesson bombed, you spend hours rethinking everything. Um, you're going in your mind over and over like, um, what did I do wrong? Or how do you actually reach the students? Um, have you heard of that imposter syndrome?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's very real your first year teaching, I think.
I agree. I think there were definitely lessons that I had that were big fails.
Hmm.
And the stress was always so, you felt like you have to be perfect 24/7, and that you're doing an injustice to the kids if you don't teach them precisely everything that they need to know at that moment. And I think we're just so hard on ourselves as teachers too. Like, I feel we're a little bit of perfectionists, and we feel like we have to do everything perfect. Now, did you ever feel like you were failing?
Oh, for sure, all the time. Um, but I think what helped me a lot was learning through my coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
You got to lean on your veteran teachers. That's one thing that I would say. Lean on your veteran teachers. They've been doing this for a long time and they know what they're doing. Now, are they perfect and do they have like everything down? No, nobody does ever. But they definitely know what they're doing. So get advice from them as much as you can. And then also rely on your custodians a lot and be nice to your custodians. I feel like they're lifesavers when you need something like a ladder or whatever. They always have stuff for you too when you're decorating your classroom and also helping keeping your classroom clean.
I completely agree. Um, Let me go back to the whole veteran teachers. I know that was a big thing for me when I first started teaching. I always sought out the most veteran teachers, as I felt like they just had it together or they had some really good ideas. Now, they weren't necessarily all English teachers. Some of them were science teachers, some of them were math teachers, and they had really good ideas. Um, and always find that one teacher that is super organized, because that teacher is going to have it down and is going to give you so many ideas. especially if, your first year when everything is so new, you're not sure how to lesson plan, you're not sure how, they file their paperwork, what setups they have, or classroom routines they have, so that you can also implement them in the classroom. And most definitely be nice to your custodians, because your custodians will have your back. I know there was one year where we had a group of custodians who would they set up our classrooms. Actually, this year too, when I got to school, my classroom was set up. Like my chairs would put
No way.
yeah, they put our chairs, our tables, my desk was in the area that it was before. I was very grateful for that, because that's just one less thing that I have to do. And normally when I do classroom setups, it's always me by myself with the kids in a corner, eating their little McDonald's, and me trying to rush through it just so that we can get done and I can take them back home. So I was very
Right.
grateful this year that they set up my classroom. Like, it was the sweetest thing I had ever seen.
That's awesome. So this year at this new campus that I'm at, they
Mhm.
have really good custodians. It's a bunch of ladies. There's like 6 or 7 of them,
Mhm.
and they're great. Like they clean that place up really good. You should see them during the cafeteria period.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you have this, but we do. So we have, of course, 3 lunches, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade,
Mhm.
and they get an hour for lunch.
Oh, nice. We get 30 minutes.
Well, it may be 45 minutes. No, I think it's an hour. Anyway,
Oh, wow.
they have we call it intramural. So the girls will go outside, and then the boys will eat, and then
Mhm.
they switch. So
Oh.
when they make that switch,
Mhm.
the custodians just come in and they wipe down tables,
Mhm.
sweep everything up. They
Mhm.
get that cafeteria clean from the time that the kids get up and start lining up to go outside.
Mhm.
By the time the other set of kids walks in the door, all tables are wiped and the whole floors are have been swept. They are so fast. They're amazing. But yeah,
Wow.
definitely keep your custodians on your corner and be nice to them, because I think they're the real MVPs of the school.
Absolutely. We definitely want to give a shout out to all the custodians out there. We love you. We're so grateful for you guys. We're thankful for all the things that you do for us, how well you keep our schools clean. We definitely,
Hmm.
couldn't do it without you guys.
Absolutely. And having a support system, I feel like it made all the difference teaching that first year, because teaching can be lonely.
Hmm.
And knowing that I wasn't alone kept me going that first year.
You know what? That's one thing that I kind of want to touch base a little bit more on is I did not realize how isolating teaching could be. It's almost
Hmm.
like it's almost like being a stay-at-home mom. You know, you're at home all day with your kids. You don't normally see other people unless it's like during lunch. For the most part, you're going all day long, hustling and bustling with your kids, and it's just you. And you're
Right.
managing and you're controlling and you're changing things up, but it's just you all day long.
Yes, I agree. You
Mhm.
crave that adult interaction.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
I've noticed that if when I was teaching, um, if I would go too long, like working and then being at home with my own kids,
Mhm.
I crave that adult interaction. Like I just needed a friend or somebody to hang out with, even
Mhm.
just to go have a cup of coffee to have like
Yeah.
an actual adult conversation with, because it's lonely. Uh,
Mhm.
being a teacher, even though you have people around you, it's lonely because nobody has time to sit there and like have a full blown conversation for more than passing period,
That's true.
right?
Yep. I got very lucky my second year that I found my tribe at school, and I had a group of teachers that we hung out during our conference hour. We hung out every single day. We chit chatted. We talked. We talked about the good, the bad, the failures, and that was probably the best year I had as a teacher. And when they left, because eventually, teachers move on or they move to different towns
Right.
or whatnot. And when they left, I was devastated because it was now just me on my own on my conference hour. It was just me by myself and the new team that I had acquired. We didn't have that bond. So I definitely say in order to survive the first year, you got to find your tribe. It'll make
Yes,
teaching that much more exciting, bearable. It'll just make the year go by so quickly.
for sure. I agree.
All right, so let's talk about the wins. Those moments that remind you of why you became a teacher.
Oh, those moments were everything. Like when a student said, I actually get this now after they've been struggling for weeks, or when the quiet kid finally speaks up in class and they share their thoughts about the conversation going on.
Yeah, those moments are golden.
What about you, Casey? What about those golden moments? Do you remember having any breakthroughs in class that you can think of?
Yes, I had a student who hated reading at first, and then by the end of the year, they were recommending books to me. And seeing that kind of growth is what made all the stress worth it. And sometimes so there are particular lessons that I have that I teach that are my light bulb lessons. I don't
Oh, I
know.
love those.
Oh, I know. And it's always those particular lessons. And everything just flows and it jives, and the kids are like into it. And you just see those light bulbs, like those little lights just kind of turning on. And oh my gosh, I live for those moments. I live for them.
That's freaking awesome. So I think for me, the ones that I love the most is when we were working on verb conjugation
Hmm.
in Spanish. I feel like those were hard because kids always wanted to know, like, they wanted an explanation of why we're doing this. Like, why do we go from ERIR to another ending? And I would always be like, I can't give you an explanation. That's just how it is. Like, it's Spanish. It's just like English. You don't question why English is uh, spelled out a certain way. So I don't know what to tell you. That's just what it is. But seeing them like finally memorizing all the endings for all the verbs in present tense or past tense, and
Hmm.
them being able to do it all by themselves, those were the great moments as well.
Oh my gosh, yes. I think that, those little moments like that make everything worth it. I've always compared teaching, which some people are gonna hate me for this, so I'm sorry for those of you who do not agree with this, but I've always compared teaching to a bad boyfriend. This boyfriend is
Why?
because teaching will drag you through the mud. It will make you work harder than you've ever had to work. It will pay you, or it will not compensate you as much as you should be. But those little moments, those golden moments, make it all worth it. And you're ready to get drugged through the mud, beat up, and put through it all over again for those little moments.
Wow.
So teaching is my bad boyfriend.
Wow.
It's
I have
not
never thought
always.
about it that
It
way.
is. It is. That's why teaching is so addicting. If you think about it, you get treated like dirt, and then those little moments are your moments of, I don't know, like euphoria, and you live for those little moments of euphoria,
That makes sense.
right?
So much sense. Yeah. I had never thought about it like that, but yeah, you do get treated like dirt sometimes.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, I feel like all those little moments, all those little wins is what you learn how to celebrate. And no matter how small they are, they always help you to stay motivated for the rest of the school year. Okay, Casey. So looking back, what advice would you give your first year teachers?
Okay, let's see. I would say you are doing enough, and it's okay to ask for help. You don't always have to have all the answers. And also, don't take things personally. Middle schoolers are going to test you, but it's not about,
Yeah.
yeah, right? But it's not about
Hmm.
you. And you need to find your people early, build those relationships with your coworkers because, they're going to be your lifeline. They're the people that are going to keep you together.
All right, Casey. talk about your first year, not your first day, but like your overall experience, your first year teaching. How was it?
Okay, my first year teaching was insane. First of all, I taught seventh grade math.
Oh my God.
I know. I don't know. Like, I needed a job. So, okay. So, in my town, it was really hard to get a teaching job. And I just got super lucky that that one of my, actually, no, I was going to say one of my friends, but she actually became my friend later. Um, One of my husband's coworkers' wife knew that I had graduated with my degree in education, and she reached out and she told me that the middle school was hiring if I would like to apply, and I did. And one of the stipulations was that I teach seventh grade math. And I didn't necessarily feel comfortable with math. I'm not a math person. I don't do math. I'm a creative. Like, I like to read and paint and draw and like decorate. Like, I'm a free spirit. So math is not for the free spirit. Like, math is black or white. And another thing they added was, not only did I have to teach a subject that I did not feel comfortable with, they also wanted me to be a cheer coach. And I needed the job so bad that I agreed to both. I'm like, fine, yes, whatever you need, I'll do it. And it was probably one of my hardest years ever. I cried all the time. I was sad. I spent time teaching myself all the lessons. So I had to not only teach myself how to teach the math, I had to learn it first myself, then learn how to teach it, and then make sure I did all the homework so that I knew all the answers. It was by far one of the worst years of my teaching career. I wish I had not started with seventh grade math. I wish I would have started with a different subject, but that's just the way the cards fell. So, yeah, it was the worst year ever. Yeah, I hated it. I don't know how I survived. I don't know how I stayed in education after that.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot, dude, for your first year teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then you did cheer. Did you know anything about cheer, or did you have to learn it all that first year?
I had no clue what I was doing. What the
Of
heck?
course.
Like, no, I've never been a cheerleader. Um, but I'm like, yeah, I got this. I'll be great. Just give me the job. And I pretty much just faked it. I faked it all and I just pretended. And you know what? I had a friend who was an ex cheerleader and she taught me a lot and she guided me and she actually ended up co being a co-sponsor with me. And I don't had she not have done that, I don't know how I would have survived because I was faking it. I had no clue. No clue what I was doing.
That's nuts.
Yeah. 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 And not only that, but like I remember I had a really high sped pop too. And it was all new to me. Like, how to teach people who are dyslexic or how to teach, a child that has a learning disability. It was a lot my first year. And yeah. And and not only that, but I remember the first year that so when I showed up to so when I showed up and I got the job, the next thing was like, okay, you got the job. Here's your classroom. I walk into a classroom that has absolutely nothing. And they're like, okay, toodles, bye, peace out. Thanks. We'll see you later. Like, no clue. I didn't know if I was teaching from a book or if I had to make up my own lessons. That's when I learned what a YAG was, right? The year at a glance. So I learned my
Right.
YAG. I learned my TEKS. I had no clue. College did not prepare me for teaching. It just didn't. I don't feel like it did. At least not my college.
No.
What do you
But I
think?
think I don't know. I feel like they've changed that, the whole like preparing you um
Mm.
If you go to school to be a teacher, I feel like they've changed that now because my niece got to her associates. She's going back soon, but they were teaching her how to do like lessons, and I don't know. Did you learn how to make lesson plans in college?
Yeah, they were like 10 pages.
Oh wow, yuck! Why?
I don't I just remember our lesson. Okay, so not only were our lessons like, I don't know, 10 pages long, but they were also lessons like for one day or for 2 days. Like I don't think they taught it in a way where you fully got the grasp of how you were supposed to how you were supposed to use your teaks, how you were supposed to implement them. And I guess because it was a gen, like I did like a
Mhm.
generalist, like I wasn't
Mhm.
specifically math, I was in specifically science. So maybe because I did a gen ed, like it was kind of like all over the place. So I felt like I didn't get like specifics. I don't know. I did it. I was completely overwhelmed my first year, and I remember I had no idea how to create a lesson plan. Someone, I'm sure a veteran teacher out there taught me how. So I had no
Yeah. I mean, to this day, I don't think I can tell you that I can fully make a lesson plan without getting help from somebody,
idea. Mhm.
even though I was in the classroom for 5 years.
Mhm.
But I feel like my experience was pretty similar to yours. Like, you're like, they tell you, hey, you're hired, you got the job. Here are your keys. This is your classroom. And what they told me is like, here's a book with all the content you're going to teach.
Mhm.
Here's your YAG. Good luck. I hope
Yeah.
you make it, and I hope these kids learn something from you every day. So I was like, well, where am I going to get materials like
Mhm.
worksheets or things like that to give these kids? And I had to rely on the other Spanish teacher a lot so she could give me stuff. And then, like, stuff that I found in the classroom that the other teacher left behind, I
Mhm.
would use those worksheets as well. But yeah, it's a lot. Like, um, teachers pay teachers saved
Oh
my
my
life
gosh.
my
Yes.
first year teaching.
Mhm.
And does your district allow you to use that now?
So technically, we're not supposed to use teachers pay teachers.
Oh wow.
We're not. I don't think we're told necessarily not to, but we are definitely not encouraged to, which I think is insane because a lot of those worksheets are created by teachers, and I think teachers
Yes.
know what they need in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think our district is allowed to use teachers pay teachers. At least my campus is not, which is, like you said, insane because some of those resources are really good and the
Yeah.
kids love it and they're
Mhm.
so easy to understand.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, I feel like my first year was also very chaotic. I started teaching my first year. It was 2019-2020 school year.
Mhm.
So we all know what happened in 2019-2020.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah, I
How
was
did you
in
survive?
school. Uh, the same way we all did, I guess.
Yeah.
We left for spring break, like we just left in March for spring break, and then we just never went back into August. Um, but yeah, it was crazy. And I think what made it crazier, it was my first year teaching. I was doing the alternative program to get certified, fully certified as a teacher,
Mhm.
and I was doing my last semester of grad school all at once,
Oh
and then
my god.
COVID happened.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
insane, but it was fun. I think I enjoyed it more than I thought I would because I
Yeah.
didn't go to school to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Um, so, but anyway, I feel like the alternative program also doesn't teach you how to make lesson plans.
Mhm.
They really don't teach you anything related to being in the classroom. I think it's focused more on the like get you ready to take the PPR test.
Mm, that makes
I
sense.
think it I think it focuses more on that than anything else.
So your
Cause
pedagogy. Yeah.
yeah, it was more related to that than anything else. So yeah, my first year was pretty insane. I'm glad we made it though,
I
COVID and all.
know. I know. I know. You know what? And I didn't. So initially, when we got shut down for COVID, what did we get shut down like in April or something like that? Was it April or
It,
May?
it was March. It
Oh,
was
you're
like
right.
literally,
Oh, right
yeah, it was
after
spring
spring
break,
break. You're right.
and
While
then
we
we
were,
never went back. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I remember that. So, what was it? March, April, May. So, like for 2 months or 2 months and a half, we did the whole distance learning. And I remember thinking, like, huh, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, this is nice. Like, I like this. Like, I could teach like this all the time. I really
Yes.
enjoyed being at home. Granted, I had all my littles at home as well. And I had to make sure that they were logging in and they were doing the work. So that was a little tough. But man, the teaching side, being able to go and use the restroom when you needed to,
Whenever you wanted to.
oh, that was such a blessing. And grabbing a snack from the kitchen, throwing some laundry real quick, and then starting the lessons, that was really nice. Um,
Yeah.
I didn't come back the following year. I took a 1 year sabbatical and I stayed home.
Yeah, because we were pregnant, remember? During
Mhm.
COVID?
Mhm. Did you
Yeah.
go back? Were you did you
Yeah,
Yeah?
I left for spring break.
Uh-huh.
I think I was pregnant when I left for spring break, but I didn't know it yet.
Mm,
And then, that when we were supposed to go back, I like I said, we never did. So
yeah.
it kind of helped because I was able to spend like my first trimester, you know how you're so tired and all of
Yeah.
that. I was
Mhm.
able to stay home for it and it was great. It helped me a lot. But yeah, when I went back in August of that
Mhm.
same year, 2020, I came back pregnant. I was what, March, April, May, June, July, August. I was like 5 months pregnant, 6 months pregnant. So I
Mhm.
already had like a belly. So I left without it and I came back with it.
Mhm.
But when we came back, we weren't fully in the classroom. Like we were
Yeah.
still teaching online for like
I think you were
a little
going to
bit.
school, right? And teaching at
Yeah.
school, and everybody was
W-
remote?
we were at school teaching from school and the kids were still at home
Mhm.
and then they came back and they had like every other day like A through M would come one day and then the rest of the alphabet will come the following day. So I would
Mm,
see them like every other day. And then finally they all just came back. But we would still have to wear a mask until
yeah,
like I don't even know when. So yeah, it was tons of fun.
yeah, yeah, I had my fourth child at home, so I decided to take the year off and just wait because he was so little, I didn't wanna leave him. And I'm really glad I did. He was the only baby that I got to really stay home with that long. All my other babies, like I went back to work fairly quickly, or I was in school. Like with my first two, I was in school. So they went to daycare. Um, so it was really nice. I really enjoyed that year. I'm not gonna lie, COVID wasn't a bad thing for me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I feel like COVID wasn't that bad for us as well. I mean, I know lots of people suffered because of it, but I feel like for us and for me, I guess us being teachers, we were fortunate enough to be able to stay home with our kids during the quarantine and keep them sheltered and safe while the world was basically ending. It was
Hmm.
awful, but as far as like being home with them and being able to um, teach from home, it was great. Like I said, especially being pregnant that first trimester when I was like super tired all the time. You are a first year teacher this year, or you're thinking about becoming a teacher in the future, consider everything that we just talked about. It's hard, it's extremely difficult. Your first year is awful. It'll either make you or break you, but you also learn so much and you meet your people, and that's when you decide that maybe you are cut up for this. So hang in there. You're doing a great job and keep going.
Absolutely. Um, Definitely don't let the chaos, the drama, deter you from teaching. Teaching can be really beautiful. It's such an amazing career that not
Mhm.
just anybody can handle. And if you can make it through your first year, you can handle just about anything.
Absolutely. Embrace the chaos. It's part of the journey. And always celebrate the small wins because they add up to the big progress.
Absolutely. Definitely celebrate focus on the good, celebrate the good, and just keep your head up high. And remember, you're human And there's only so much that you can do. And if you have fails or lessons that are failures, remember that you can always come back tomorrow and make it better than it was before. Don't give up, keep pushing yourself. And for every failure that you have, it's going to help you grow as a teacher.
Yes, for sure. Well, everybody, that's a wrap for today's episode of Hermanas Unfiltered. We hope that you found some encouragement in hearing about Casey and I's first year teaching. And we'll be back soon with more real talk. If you want to follow us, we are on YouTube at Hermanas Unfiltered. You can email us at hermanasunfiltered@gmail.com. And Casey, you want to tell everybody the socials?
Yes, so on Instagram, we are at hermanas underscore unfiltered. On TikTok, we are at hermanas underscore unfiltered underscore pod. So until next time, take care of yourself and be kind to your custodian. And remember, you're doing amazing work.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.